Hello and welcome. My name is Natalie Pelto, and I am here to talk to you guys about why I do what I do and to give you guys a little bit about my story. Now, many people who know me know that my story started in autism. What does that mean? It means that I was a frontline healthcare worker in diagnostics and spent a large part of my life, 20 years, looking at the inside of the human body and seeing perpetually this grow into illness and seeing the epidemic proportions of diabetes, cancers, and many other conditions that I'm going to dive in a little bit deeper after. But what happened was my family was affected. I was not brought into this world understanding how important food, nutrition, environment, mindset was. And this is not to blame my parents or anything like that at all. It's just the world that we live in and the societal expectations. And I can tell you that I was forced to face this like many of us go through. I'm sure some of you guys can relate to having to sit in a doctor's office and hear a diagnosis that leaves you completely depleted of energy, disempowered, and just really, really lost. So in my case, this was in the case of our son almost getting a autism diagnosis, completely nonverbal. And so I could have went a certain path. I could have chosen to do what most families did, which is go the route of assessments, therapies, which I did many of them. They're available for free where I live. And many were not even available that are available now. And so I chose a different path. I chose to not accept what the doctors told me, specifically my pediatrician. And I went on my own journey of self-discovery. And where it brought me was into a world of holistic living, lifestyle overhaul, and massive lifestyle intervention. And so we went on this journey. I overhauled our life. And over the span of 2 years of trial and error, I learned so much about the world that we live in. And I ended up with way more than what I could have ever expected in our healing journey. And for my son, who never ended up getting that diagnosis and had a full remission of his symptoms, we moved forward and I started to explore a new type of education. And where this led me was to see and feel firsthand, like so many of you, that we are all touched by illness. Whether it be we know our family members who have diabetes. I have extended family who mostly all have diabetes. This is one of the largest epidemics of the world. Did you know that type 2 diabetes, if your doctor is not talking to you about reversal, then it's time to get a second opinion, because 100% studies show over and over, especially using lifestyle medicine practices, that this can be fully turned around. And that it's possible and it's not gonna make your life miserable. You can still eat carbs, you can still live the fun life. There's just certain things that you wanna move through, and that's something that I discuss in many of my programs. The number two thing that I see a lot of that has affected my family deeply, that if I think about too much would bring tears to my eyes. Actually, there are two things: is heart disease. Having a family that is really prevalent in heart illnesses. Both my grandfathers died before I was even born from heart attacks. So heart disease is very prevalent in my family. And then the other one is cancer, which this one you should understand impacts everyone, because currently the WHO says that every other person will get cancer. I want to tell you guys just really briefly how hard that is. It's actually really difficult to acquire cancer. You actually have to have 4 mutations in a very specific type of cell. That's like a minimum, and yet every other person. So what is happening to our cellular structures? And this is a talk for another day in what I teach. And then cancer has taken multiple of my family members, multiple. And so I'm sure some of you guys can relate with this. So these are the impacts of the inspiration as to why I do what I do. I teach autistic families, like families with children with newly diagnosed autism, specifically, usually, specifically the ones who have nonverbal attributes and the ones who have motivation to see a different outcome. And I also work with adults with ADD and ADHD. Specifically, what I have come to learn about adults who have ADD and ADHD is that they are extremely high achievers. They have this inability to often sit through things like movies and things like that. And so their time is efficiently used in learning and in learning multiple different subjects of their choice as they, change from subject to subject. And so I teach them how to get more focus, and so that they can really redirect all of that scatter and energy into one clarity and focused area. And so we do that with nutritional therapy specifically. I'm also going to share a little bit about my hormonal story. Throughout my journey, I fell in love with nutrition, but I took care of myself at the beginning. And when I was the most successful was when I was taking care of myself the most. And then I started to deplete and my hormones took a real beating. I don't know if any of you guys know this, but while I was teaching about essential oils, which I absolutely love and will forever teach about, I traveled and basically traveled for 8 months while still working a full-time job in healthcare, where most nurses are said to burn out in 2 years' time. And I was 20 years in or 19 years in at the time. And here I was traveling for 8 months on top of that. So my hormones became depleted and I started pouring from an empty cup. And so I have a lot of experience in the rebuild of the womanly body through nutrition. I also want to talk a little bit about weight loss through this process of traveling everywhere and hormone completely out of whack. If you're a woman, you understand that weight gain easily comes from a redistribution of hormones. So I wanted to share that those are the types of people that I work with, are people that are high achievers, that are motivated for change, that are ready for that next step in reversing or putting their illness into remission. I love this. This is what I do. I think there is no greater joy for me than seeing someone succeed and have the vitality, and I'm going to use that word, vitality, to move forward in their lives in a way that is inspiring to others. It's like this beacon of light that you get to share with someone, that opens up their beacon of light, that they get to share their gifts, their medicine to the world, whatever that may be. So this has been my journey, and this is an area that I am now fully embracing and diving into, and I am taking on new clients in the near future. I highly recommend joining the 5-day course, the Heal at Home course that sends out through email. These people will be getting the first row of seeing what it's like to work with me one-on-one, which I have a few case studies in the recent times that have really shown me how much more we need this. How much people who have autism and my high achievers who have ADD and ADHD and need that focus and clarity, how people can lose weight and heal their insides at the same time, to the point where it doesn't take forever, and change their habits forever. And then families and to support families holding on to their families longer, their extended families longer, by putting their diabetes in remission and having the tools to do so at least, and helping people prevent this thing called cancer that may affect each and every one of us in the coming future. So with that, this is my why I do this, because I have personally been touched by all of these things. I have seen people reverse most of these things and seen successes in many of these areas. And I definitely know that I can help you should you want one of these areas addressed. And if this is the case, then make sure to grab the 5-day email, the email Heal at Home course, so that you can get my emails when my launch comes to work one-on-one with people, because I will be taking 3-month and 6-month not groups, but people one-on-one through a journey, but it's going to be just a few times a year. So make sure to look out for that. It's going to be super exciting. And I'm so grateful to be able to come to this space and help people with these issues and many more. I can't go through all the issues in the world, but I can definitely tell you that I can help. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video on my why, my story, my journey, how I've been touched. Feel free to share your journey below and share a little bit about where some of these things may have come into your life and where you have seen changes or wins, little wins. So yeah, feel free to drop them in the comments. And I will talk to you soon, and make sure to grab the 5-day Heal at Home course.